Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages, suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. This week's exclusive discount at Splinterverse on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, is The Grandmother Tree, a mini adventure for elementary kids and kids at heart. It's 33% off for the first 10 customers that click the link, so there's still a chance that you can get this at an amazing steal of a price at 33% off. It is from Purple Bog Press, normally $3.95, but you're going to get it at 33% off if you click that link, and it's 15 pages. It says cookie swarms, bubble traps, a 3-story treehouse. The Grandmother Tree is a whimsical adventure about friendship aimed at elementary kids and kids at heart who love the problem-solving and adventuring part of D&D and enjoy resolving encounters with less combat. It's a 2-hour one-shot suited for characters levels 2 to 3. It includes a new monster and trap that appeal to kids, full-color maps, detailed flowchart of the adventure, can be dropped into any campaign, even has kid-friendly artwork, interactive mini-games for the whole table to enjoy, and tips on playing TTRPGs with kids. And then a portion of the proceeds benefit Extra Life, which is really nice as well. And I mean, you just gotta love this art of this dragon sort of cozied up in a bunch of pillows here, and that's indicative of the feel of this awesome book. So you've got running the adventure with an introduction, overview, adventure hooks, NPCs, etc., your flowchart, and then you've got the 3 chapters plus a conclusion and rewards, magic items, games, and maps, as well as the section on helping you play with kids. So really cool. And you can see they've got the stat blocks here, challenge ratings 1/2 and 2. And then you've got this cool little flowchart, so you can see it can go a lot of different directions. And you've got cookie swarms and dragons and various things to deal with. And then here you go, you've got the intro, a sound in the forest, so we'll read that in a minute. And you've even got a swarm of cookies to deal with at a 1/2 there, so sounds really fun to me. So we'll read the flavor text for the introduction of meeting Max here. Up ahead is the edge of a warm, welcoming forest. Majestic trees stand tall and proud with limbs outstretched, roots firmly grasping the rich earth. The smell of damp moss floats on the light breeze. Fluffy squirrels chase each other up and down the trunks as melodious birds flit about the lush canopy above. As you get closer, a soft weeping sound can be heard off to the side. There, sitting under a tree, is a young gnome, head in his hands, crying. An open book lies discarded at their feet. Really nice little intro, draws you in, makes you wonder what's going on with this gnome. And, you know, if you're playing with kids, they're probably going to want to help the gnome. So it's a really cool little setup. It gets them pulled in with that emotion. I love emotional threads in adventures. I think they're really key to making the adventure go above and beyond what you would normally expect. So very, very cool. So much in here. And I love all of this stuff. I mean, even just having the personality traits, bonds, ideals for the dramatis personae is so helpful. So with Max, this is Max, a young gnome, is eager to get their books back and accompanies the party on the adventure, lending a helping hand as needed. And it says personality traits. Nothing can shake Max's optimistic attitude. Max always wants to know how things work and what makes people tick. So that would be really easy to role play, I think, as a DM, because you can really just have Max ask a lot of questions of the players and be, very curious and maybe even in awe of some of the things that the players have on them or do. And really cool. And then the bonds, it's really cute. A library book is to be cherished and cared for and always returned. So we're kind of getting some clues as to what is going on with Max at the beginning of the adventure there. But I love it. I think it's really great. I would enjoy playing this even as an adult. So I think you should really take advantage of this 33% off discount while there's time to do that. Again, only 10 people are going to get that opportunity, and you're helping Extra Life, and you're getting a really fun adventure. And if it's $3.95 and 33% off, it's going to be, quite a good steal at that price, I think, because I think it's already reasonably priced. So check it out in the links below. It'll be the first one in the timestamp description, or under G for Grandmother Tree in the alphabetized list in the pinned comment. Either way, give it a click and get this price before it's gone. Okay, our first new release this week is 1D100 Random Cults by Terry Herc. It's $1 on Pay What You Want, 3 pages. And it says it's the perfect supplement for adding intrigue and mystery to your next sci-fi or fantasy RPG session. This fantastic collection provides you with all the tools you need to create fascinating secret organizations, learn who is lurking behind the seemingly pleasant facade, and delve deep into the dark secrets of local lore. The table has 4 columns: cult name, leader name, important location, and significant rumor. Using these tables, you can generate thousands of secret organizations, each with their own fascinating characters and agendas. Some of these cults may be benevolent, while others are downright horrifying. With such a diverse range of inspiration, you're sure to find the next one for your session. And you can add a twist to your campaign, create new adversaries, etc. with this. It's really cool. I was looking through it earlier, and I was like, this is really neat. It's got how to form the cult, the leaders and the members, the belief systems, some advice on that stuff. And then you get into this massive table, which is really cool. And you get to see the whole thing here in the preview, which is very kind of Terry. But you can see there's this column here with all the different names, everything from Agarthans to Clan of the Cryon, Devotio Moderna, Daughters of Gaia, etc. And then you've got a column with the leader name, so Admiral Rosengold or Director Windorn or Diamond Knight Astaroth. And then you've got important locations like Abandoned Vault, Forest Cathedral, and then significant rumors like deities come to claim members who never return, or former members are constantly watched, scanned, and tracked. So you can see where this would work for Call of Cthulhu or modern D&D, or some sort of sci-fi game, or it could work for any fantasy, OSR. It's really system neutral. It could work for 5th edition, you name it. It could work for that, which I love. So if we look at it here at this first one, so the cult name would be Agarthans, the leader would be Admiral Rosengold, and they'd be located in an abandoned vault. And then the rumor about it would be that deities come to claim members who never return. So you could build a whole story around that. You could come up with these quote unquote deities that come to claim the members, and maybe it's somebody pretending to be a deity with whatever powers they have in the game that you're playing. So they take these people either to sacrifice them or do whatever they're going to do with them, but certainly not whatever they're selling is the reason, right? And then the abandoned vault could be really fun. You could find a really cool map for that, and then you could stat up Admiral Rosengold, and then you could even weave it in early, having Agarthans mentioned a few times. What's this connection to Agarthans before you have sort of this revelation of what they are and where they are and what they're up to. You could have this rumor sort of leak out earlier, and you're, depending on how you want to set this up, because the beauty of this is it's really just, giving you that foundation to build these cults so that you can use it however you want. There's no level constraints. It doesn't have to be a CR1. You know, it can be a CR 30, whatever you want it to be, in terms of the boss of this cult, or it can just be background, right? You could just have some of these things talked about in the background, and I like that it's a mixture of both fantasy and modern sounding things, so that you have some options for both games. You know, maybe you play both, or maybe you plan to play one and you only play the other right now. This is going to be dual purpose, and it's only $1 on the suggested price. So I think you should check it out in the links below under 1D100 Random Cults and give it a click. Next, we've got Anyone Can Cook from 𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙬, and it's $6.95. And what's cool is 𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙬 does all the art and the writing and everything. I follow 𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙬 on Twitter, and there's just always good content. It's really fun to see what's all going on, and of course those links are down here too if you want to get connect to 𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙬 on Twitter, Instagram, etc. So it says, explore the culinary side of an adventure of hunts, ingredients, fun recipes, themed culinary items, and creative food-based monsters. Make use of custom harvest and cooking rules applicable to any game, as well as modular recipes ideas to start a short standalone adventure. So they've got, with the 28 pages, they've got adventurous cooking, so that's new rules for obtaining ingredients and combining it into a dish. And then legendary workstations discovers cooking stations of myth like the molten abyssal burner or the sentient void mixer. Iron Chef, learn about the ancient demigod golem, the progenitor of culinary arts and the host of the deadly iron toque competition. And then there's a monk subclass called Follow the Way of the Gourmand, and then 30 items and 13 monsters. So there's a lot packed into this 28 pages, and it's all got art from 𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙬 as well. So let's look inside. You can see all the cool stuff listed in here. So you've got your lore and your setting information, and you know, you can use this even with NPCs, right? You can have the NPCs doing some of this stuff. It doesn't have to be PCs, although I think there's probably a lot of people that would enjoy mixing in some cooking into the game. You could even have, you know, a potluck or some sort of food on the table itself as you're playing, if you use some of this stuff to kind of weave it in. You know, like, you know how at Halloween, like, people will use different ingredients to pretend to be monster parts or something, you know, like a cherry tomato is an eyeball or whatever, right? You could do kind of similar things with this, which is fun. So you've got the monsters with the Koro, berry jellies, flame sprout, and salt golem, and then some other ones like flat hide, relish shell, shambling mountain, snap hammer, etc. So very cool. Love this artwork too. And so you've got introduction to cooking for adventurers, and then cooking procedures, custom special ingredients, and then hunting for ingredients, harvesting them. So you get a real good opportunity to read about the harvest rules and the cooking rules here in the free preview, because you get to see 5 of those 28 pages. So let's see. It says, okay, millions of recipes are found across the world, ranging from the simple to the rare and difficult. Chefs from around the country lead a creative push to craft new dishes and record them for generations to come. All recipes contain a list of ingredients and cooking instructions. However, gourmet recipes have at least 1 to 5 special ingredients based on their complexity, rarity, and price, as well as a set of special cooking procedures. And then a dish or ingredient that has exceptional quality or taste is represented by its gourmet star rating. The metric is most valuable in cooking competitions. A character that excels at harvesting or preparing an ingredient increases its gourmet star rating. The rating of a dish equals the combined rating of its constituent ingredients. And then special ingredients are typically the primary objective of a good culinary adventure, as a head chef or client may hire a party to hunt and obtain food from dangerous creatures. So yeah, that's a lot of usage of this right here that you can get. You can you know, have somebody be a patron to the group and ask them to go, find these ingredients for either a cooking competition because they've got to win and they need the rarest ingredient, or just because they're trying to make a particular recipe. Maybe they have a loved one who's dying who wants their favorite meal before they pass away, or maybe there's some healing properties of the recipe. Whatever it is, there's so many reasons to motivate adventure and to get the characters thinking about how, there's this corpse on the ground of a monster, but that's not necessarily the end of it. Maybe you have to harvest something off of it, right, as well. So really gets them outside of the video game world where, you kill the monster and then the body just disappears. So I think it's really, really cool to connect characters to the world, and there's just some really fun art in here from Pathfinder and others, and I think that's awesome. So check it out in the links below under Anyone Can Cook, and give it a click. Next we've got Aquilae, campaign setting, Western Realm Gazetteer, and it's from Infinium Game Studios, 1999, for 840 pages. That's right, 840 pages. So Infinium has been working on basically making, the biggest gazetteer ever. So this is 64,000 square miles of intricately detailed terrain, cities, ruins, and points of interest. Over 1,700 points of interest, each one with the potential for one or more gaming sessions. Over 1,100 cities, strongholds, castles, and ruins. 21 nations. So you could spend forever and not visit every single place that is planned out. If you're one of those DMs that is painstakingly describing every single place on your map because you just aren't sure if your players are going to go there, and you want to be prepared, and you're, maybe a bit of a perfectionist, you could just use this. You don't have to do all that. And then if you want to plop something in that you've created, you can just pretend one of the points of interest described here just doesn't exist, or you could squeeze it in between those points of interest, right? Because there's just so much material in here. And it's got ultra detail, ultra inspiration. Each profile, there's national profiles, so you could have 21 separate gazetteers with how many different nations are in here. So quick things like what to expect here. So you find yourself here, why would you come here? All of those sections. But then they also have the deep dive into, rumors and lore, people and culture, politics, government rules, settlements and ruins, all that stuff, and maps to go along with all of it. And they have phenomena, caves, shrines, and then 384 individual locations of significance. Each one has been designed to be a potential adventure unto itself, with multiple sessions, and then rules to dynamically create your own cities and ruins. Over 1,000 tiles, strongholds, castles, and ruins. Each settlement has a name created using real-world phonetic roots based on the etymological mapping of the nation that the settlement is in. So it says, for example, the nation of Arvidar has settlements whose names recall real-world French phonemes, and composition. So even helps you if you want to create your own. So you can kind of see here, like the government and leadership section, they give you the overview, the leader, all the details, background on the leader. I mean, no expense is spared on the details. And so here you can see one of the maps, and then it tells you, what the points of interest are, the major settlements, etc. Just so much. And then here's the people in politics again, to look at. Rumors and lore, tribute, military point. And then there's even an Excel digital resource companion, so you can search and sort and do all of those things. So much material in here. It's rare you see anything over, I would say, probably 500 pages, but to see 840 pages, that's just incredible. And we can flip through a little bit here. Unfortunately, the full-size preview is not working at present, But you can see, I mean, it just goes into so much detail. Like this is, the overview map, and each one is broken down into a little square, right? It then gets further detailed as you go through the book, and you get a history of Aquilae, and it's already a bestseller in this first week. I mean, even if you just take a few places out of here and put them into your own campaign, just to have so much of that detail already ready for you. 21 different nations. You could even just, take a nation and put it in your own homebrew world. So much on offer. I think you should check it out. It's Aquilae, campaign setting, Western Realm Gazetteer, in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Arms and Artifacts of Zul from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙀. It's suggested price of 50 cents, and it's 10 pages by Cliff Dunn. In the mythical world of Zul, swords and sorcery are the keys to battling monsters and ungodly extraplanar creatures, claiming the riches of ages and forging new empires. In this volume 1 of the Artifacts and Arms of Zul, you'll find the stuff and treasures of legend, the enchanted sword of an ancient conquering general, the demonic scrying bowl of an evil sorceress queen, and elvish wine that packs more than a kick. So really cool, little fun, flavorful picture on the front, and you're getting all these really cool little items that you can use in your campaigns, or you can take advantage of the drip strategy of 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬 releasing week after week a little snippet of Zul and Vadashar, and start to become familiar with this setting, so that when all of the stuff is released, you can, or even before, you can start adventuring there. So really fun. Get to see the whole book in the preview, and look at how much information is given on this Bowl of Malphas. I mean, it's a whole page, tons of information with artwork. Same with the Sword of 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬, and then River Elf Wine. I love the art for that. So very, very cool that you're getting so much information. Let's read about the River Elf Wine. So it's a wondrous item, uncommon. This potent and enchanted vintage is produced by the river elves of Lake Ākhantilo in the northern Caliph Valley. The elves' viticulturists have been perfecting the vintage for hundreds of years. It is rarely given to or shared with outsiders. The half-elven Bengal clan, related to them by blood, who serve as agents to the outside world for the reclusive and not especially friendly to outsiders river elves, are a notable exception to this. A bottle of elderberry wine fortified with chara, a multicellular genus of green algae found in freshwater, where they grow submerged, attached to the muddy bottom. The strong taste of elderberry cuts through the other flavors, and imbibers may not notice the curious effects if they are not mindful. Each bottle functions as a potion of water breathing, with enough wine to allow up to 6 individuals to breathe underwater for 1 hour each. The water breathing benefits are cumulative for up to 3 hours of water breathing, but for each glass imbibed, 1/6 of the bottle after the first, the user must consult the wine effects table below. Although the river elves do not sell their wine, bottles have a value of 900 GP on the black market. So down here you get a little chart, so amount imbibed, how long your water breathing lasts, and then other effects. So it looks like if you drink a lot of it, you're going to get -2 wisdom, or -3 wisdom at max here, -2 intelligence, saving throws for 6 hours, and then you're going to have to make a DC 18 con save or sleep rest for 6 hours. So fun stuff, and you've got other ones in here. You've got this Bowl of Malphas and this Sword of 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬. So great stuff for 50 cents. Pretty good price to get these 3 items with beautiful artwork, and also to get some familiarity with Zul and Vadashar as more and more is released on it from 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬. So check it out in the links below under Arms and Artifacts of Zul. Give it a click. Next we've got the Banewarrens, the Banewarrens from Ptolus and Monte Cook. So Ptolus is the city under the spire. It's a really fun setting, and it's from Monte Cook, and it's 5th edition, of course. And it says, an ancient storehouse of evil has been opened. In the murky recesses of time, a powerful and benevolent cleric set upon a well-intentioned plan. In those days, evil was on the decline, and the forces of darkness had been routed in almost every field of battle. Dana Radenson sought to finalize this defeat by gathering evil artifacts, objects of dark power, trapped essences of vanquished fiends, demonic relics, and even the last vestiges of particularly horrible diseases. He imprisoned these banes in a deep and powerful network of vaults, believing that to destroy them would release their evil back into the world. But evil has its ways of subverting even the best among us, and Danar Ratenson's path led toward darker destinies. His vaults, however, still remain deep beneath Ptolus, and now they're once again opened. Can the PCs seal the Banewarrens before their contents make their way into the world once more? And who will help or seek the dark treasures for themselves? The answers might seem surprising, and the PCs never know who to trust. So Monty Cook and Sean K. Reynolds have done a really fun job here, coming up with a good story hook. This is exciting. There's all these evils that have been squirreled away and locked up, and now they're potentially going to be unleashed. And so the party is going to have to prevent this. And that's like a race against time. That's kind of maybe being an underdog a little bit, because there may be people that don't even believe that these things exist or that they're dangerous. And so I like that pressure cooker effect of, like, if we don't do this, the whole world is really in trouble. So very, very cool. And it says, this dynamic mega adventure sends the PCs down into the dungeons below Ptolus and out into the streets. It pits PCs against other Ptolus adventurers, some self-serving, some downright evil, in a race to seal the Banes before their horror is unleashed upon the world. So yeah, all of those pressures is really cool, and it's a whole mini campaign. It's 180 pages. I mean, this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I love Ptolus. I bought there's a huge, beautiful box set that you can get, and it's just stunning. I love the setting. I've always liked it ever since I heard about it, and it's exciting to see that they keep releasing really cool modules for it. I mean, regular modules. I mean, we're talking about it every couple months or so. We're talking about it on here, so that's exciting to see that there's just frequent content coming out. So if you haven't gotten into Ptolus, I think you should check it out. Of course you could place this adventure somewhere else. You don't have to play it in Ptolus, but I'm just excited that they released so much content for that setting. Monty Cook and Sean K. Reynolds, they do great work, so it's always exciting to see more from them. So I hope you check it out. It's under the Banewarrens, and the link's below. Give it a click. Next, we have Cloudcaves from 𝑽𝙤𝙬�RPG. It's a one-shot and location, and it's $9.99, 17 pages, 5th edition. Although it's not tagged by that. So if you're watching 𝑽𝙤𝙬�RPG, you might want to tag it for 5th edition. And it aims to help save prep time and impress your players. Gives you ready-to-use location, which you can drop into any setting, along with detailed encounters that can become an adventure. All of this is supported by maps to complement your game without the need to prepare. You get basically gorgeous layout and artwork with a location and the lore, and then you get 3 detailed encounters that can become an adventure for 4 to 6 hours of gameplay, 2 new stat blocks, 3 battle maps, and a regional map. And it's really cool. Let's look inside. So here's your overarching plot, and then a page on that, and then you start getting into the encounter hooks and things like that, and then you've got the individual encounters, as well as the Cloudcaves. They're going to talk about those as well, of course. So here's the intro, and then this is all about those Cloudcaves, and then your adventure hooks and your overarching plot, which looks fun. And then you've got your stat blocks, 118 CR. And the crossing, that's one of your encounters. And look at these really cool maps of the Cloudcaves. Outcomes, rewards. Just really nicely laid out. Lots of details, really good maps on each of these encounters. And I love that it has developments, outcomes, rewards on each of them. So you can really quickly and easily see what your opportunities are to continue, find the rewards quickly, and just keep going if you want. So So since the cloud caves are in such a remote location, chances are that the party won't stumble across it randomly. Below are some hooks that can help get the characters involved. So the party finds a lost tome or a series of notes which mentions the Valerium fungus, along with an appropriate or approximate location of where they can be found. The text isn't completely clear, but the characters can still make out enough to understand that the Valerium is linked with flight in some way. It says the party is approached by Rias Julia, who explains that she discovered the location of a rare fungus. She offers the party 200 GP to go there with her and serve as her bodyguard. Very cool. So yeah, that's just a couple of the options to get to the cloud caves. And then you've got this overarching plot. I mean, I just think it's really nice how this is all seamlessly integrated together, because a lot of times you get encounters or you get a location or you get these things separately, but even having a bonus overarching plot, having these stunning maps that you can use, it's just so well put together, and I love that so much. So I think you need to check it out under Cloud Caves in the links below and give it a click. Next we've got Creature Tokens Pack 29 from Forgotten Adventures. It's $4.99 for these VTT tokens that can be used with any system. So you've got Giant Coral Snake, the Guardian Naga, and the Spirit Naga, Swarm of Poisonous Snakes, a Young Silver Dragon, and they've each got multiple color variants, and there's a Triceratops as well. So I love the mixed bag of stuff you're getting, because you're getting some snake stuff, you're getting some Naga stuff, a dragon, a dinosaur. If you buy a lot of these packs, you're going to have really an army of tokens built up, and it's so nice that there's even a swarm in here. Just really cool stuff, and the artwork is just always so beautiful on these, and I love that they're top down, so they look like they go on a lot of the VTT maps. So if you use VTT maps, these are going to be especially good. So just always love to see what Forgotten Adventures is going to make next, because they really do a good job. I think they're covering so much of what's in the monster manual and other sources that if you were to buy all of these, that you would get such a significant collection. And in the future, I'm hopeful that they'll do like a bundle maybe, where you can get a lot of them at once, because if I was ever to start DMing, I would want to buy a bunch of these all at once, and just have a really cool collection that I can pull upon. But I do encourage you to get it, because look at Naga. Who makes Naga tokens? That's awesome. These are hard to get, and to have two different ones and then color variations, it's just really cool. And swarms, you don't often see tokens for swarms, so very, very cool. So check it out under Creature Tokens Pack 29 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got enTRAPment, Traps and Hazards for 5th edition by Kim Franson, Beth Jones, and Beyond the Horizon. It's $6 for the PDF or $10 for the standard color soft cover, or you can pay $10 and get both, which is great. It's 46 pages. It says they take a look at the old dungeon classic, The Trap, and introduce a bunch of new ones alongside magical, natural, and spiritual hazards. The authors say we redesigned the existing trap system so that it conforms better to the same challenge rating as the monsters you encounter, which should make it easier for game masters to choose the right trap for the moment. We've also changed the way traps are presented in an effort to make them more accessible during gameplay, so that it's easier for you to get an idea of how the trap functions, what it does, how it does it, and how the players can stop it. You'll find some old classics redesigned in this manner alongside some new ones. So interesting. There's got some optional rules going on here, changing things to challenge rating, which I think is going to be helpful for newer DMs especially. You can see here they've got a list of all the traps, and then their CR, and then the page numbers, so that you can just jump to the one that you want to use. And then they've got some hazards like sandstorm, vampiric brambles, flash flood, avalanche, all that stuff as well. So fun. So jumping ahead here, you can see all these different traps. Here's kind of the layout. So it's going to go through the challenge rating, give you kind of like a trap stat block, if you will. And then the dynamic elements. So it starts down here. Here's one that you can see there's several you can see here in the in this free preview. So you've got Dart Trap. It's a simple mechanical trap, CR 1 to 2. Several concealed holes adorn sides of a room or corridor with so many openings spread across that it's impossible to pass without being in front of at least a few of them. It triggers when a creature or object weighing more than 20 pounds steps or lands on the pressure plate that activates the trap. Detection. A successful perception check reveals the holes in the wall and the presence of a trap, but a separate investigation check is required to reveal where the pressure plate is. A successful dex check using thieves' tools disables the lever if the person can reach it, or the pressure plate. And when triggered, the dart trap fires 4 darts. Each dart makes a ranged attack with a +8 bonus. These darts target a random creature within 10 feet of the pressure plate. Each creature that is hit takes piercing damage. Some of these traps are poisoned, in which case any creature hit must make a con saving throw, taking poison damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. So lots of options with just that one trap, and you can see how it's nicely laid out, really easy to understand. I love that there's so many different sections, so you can quickly, you're in the middle of DMing this, you can quickly jump to the disarming or the trigger or the detection sections and not have to struggle to find that, because more than likely this will be new for you since this is kind of a new structure. But I like this concept. Looks like it could be a lot of fun. So check it out under enTRAPment in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Forest Maps 2 from Carl Terrence Vandal, 20 pages. And it's got 4 detailed high-definition maps of locations within a forest, usable in any campaign setting or any tabletop RPG. You got Forest Camp, Forest Cave, Forest Incident, Forest Pool, and then Grid, No Grid, Night, Without a Grid, etc. And you can even use these commercially, which is really helpful. So if you're a publisher like me, that gives you some options. You can see all the different variations in here. And so here's one with like a caravan and a campground, and then that was the gridded. This is the non-gridded. Then you get the night version, no grid, and then here's a trail of blood in the forest. That could be really good, especially if you're tracking something. Yeah, and lots of variations on that, and then a whole nother path with some blood on it. And then finally, you can see some bodies from the blood. So you could really build on these paths to get to the answer. And here you got a water feature. Let me zoom out so you can see better. Water feature, log, all that good stuff. But yeah, really cool. And I love that you can use these for commercial, because if you're a publisher, one of the biggest expenses is artwork. And to get all these maps available to you for $2 that you can then use in your own games and in your own published products, I think that's epic. So check it out under Forest Maps 2 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Game Master's Guide to Rites and Rituals from MageGate Games, and it's for 5th edition, 85 pages. It says, want to run realistic rites and rituals that bring your game world to life? Now you can. You've got rites and festivals for most fantasy religions, rules for arcane and divine magic rituals, rules for fortune tellers and psychics, including detailed predictions, 40 omens and 100 prophecies, plus random tables to generate your own, new magic items and non-magical equipment, random tables for naming temples, festivals, rites, rituals, arcane and divine organizations, plus sympathetic magic rules to create more powerful spells with voodoo dolls, blood hair, true names, weather, and terrain-based magic. So really cool. Lots of options in here to mix it up. I mean, you always have these cults doing different things. And you can play it off as a DM and say, oh yeah, they're doing this ritual and they're waving their hands about and they're pouring this stuff into a vial or whatever. But wouldn't it be nice to have it like fully thought out, like what actually is going on, so that if your players ask a lot of questions, you can say, oh well, they're doing this and then they're doing that. And then there's also opportunities for you to have the characters have to do one of these. Maybe one of their NPC friends has perished and this is the only way to bring them back, or there's some other reason they need to do a ritual, maybe to stop the end of the world or something, right? You know, we've all seen those movies like Monster Squad or whatever, where you have to do some sort of ritual at the right time or the world will end, right? So, looking inside, you get to see 15 of those pages. So it's talking a step-by-step magical ritual right here. So it goes through all the different pieces of it. And I mean, there's 8 different pieces, and talks about all the different things that you can do. Multiple casters. Why is it important to ground yourself after a ritual? What about making pacts? I mean, any direction you want to go. Binding, cursing, charming. They've got it covered. This is really exhaustive. They even have a new background for the exorcist here, and then sympathetic magic where you can use a doll or an effigy. I mean, I really like this. I think there's just so much you can use, whether you let the players have at it with some of this, or it's just a background thing or something the villains are up to. This is going to give you so much material. I mean, it says the first part of the ritual requires the caster to prepare a special room or space. The second part involves casting a circle around the workspace. The third part involves casting a protective energy circle around yourself. Fourth part involves performing the spells or magic within the circle, opening the portal and or summoning the forces or entities you wish to deal with. The fifth part involves disposing of any perishable material components. The sixth part involves breaking the physical circle. And the seventh part involves cleansing oneself in the workspace. And finally, the eighth part is grounding yourself. So lots of different things, lots of places for things to go wrong, right? If the players aren't doing it properly, then things can go wrong, and it's covering that. There's exhaustion, there's various things that are happening. You've got cleansing checks. So you can really make this as complicated as you want. But that's the beauty of this too, is you can just have the first 4 steps be required, or the first 5, whatever you want, because they're just giving you such a plethora of options, and I love that. Summoning. This involves summoning a particular supernatural entity such as a celestial demon, devil, or warlock patron to gain its favor or assistance. This typically requires a pact of some kind, such as a gift or service in exchange for your soul or your firstborn child, or to conceive a child with the entity and carry it to term, or to bring others into making pacts with it, or to perform a service in return. So see, like, tons of options of how you would connect to this entity that you're summoning. Ties in great with the warlock pacts. Really, really cool. There's the ritualist background, the ritual kit, the exorcist background, and then sympathetic magic is really cool too. It says if a caster has constructed a doll or effigy in the image of the target creature out of wax, clay, cloth, or similar material, then the caster can deal its choice of either extra damage or a penalty to the saving throw DC. So just, maybe you have a voodoo doll of your big bad ready to sort of poke pins into it as you're battling them and help give you some advantage against the big bad. Just really infinite directions you can go with this, and it's exciting to see so much on offer here. So check it out under Game Master's Guide to Rites and Rituals in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Memory and Murder, a modern murder mystery by Justin Gagliardi, and it is for 5th edition, and it's for 4 10th level characters, 1 to 2 game sessions. It is in a modern setting, fantasy, but modern. It says it takes place in the city of Fink City. Players wake up with 0 memory of the last 24 hours, and to make matters worse, they find themselves in the middle of a gruesome crime scene. They'll have to investigate for evidence, follow the clues, and track down the real murderers. Oh, and Sphinx City PD's finest are hot on their trails. So if you're tired of PCs meeting in a tavern or tired of playing out fantasy settings, you can try this to spice things up. And there's all kinds of appendices to help support playing in a modern fantasy setting. So, you don't often see modern releases, especially adventures. So it's exciting that there's one here for people. And it talks about technology and how to deal with it, the villains, the various characters searching for clues, and then these are the freely given clues and ones that you can find with investigation check, etc. Lots of detail as usual from Justin. So let's read a little bit about the flavor text here. It says this adventure takes place in Sphinx City, a bustling metropolis in the northeast of the country. Sphinx City is as diverse as it is sprawling with technology and magic. We start with an aerial view of the gigantic concrete jungle and begin to zoom in. We push past the peak of the skyscrapers down onto a busy main street. An orc slings hot dogs that have been sitting in water that's barely above room temperature. An elf is nearly hit by a goblin taxi driver as they jaywalk across the street, and a Trent tries to give away samples of smoothies to pedestrians. We fly by the expansive middling park in the center of uptown Sphinx City and then pass through Sphinx Square, full of tourists and kitschy restaurants the locals wouldn't dare enter. Next, we cross the Seashell District, passing by the famous toy store FAA Gnomes, and quickly enter Gnome Witch Village, passing by the infamous strip club and gun shop Heat. Sphinx City is full of unique and incredible locations, as well as people. So you can see this is really, analogous to New York, but with magic and all these different creatures, interacting with humans. So there's just so much fun you could have with this. The parody names, the just imagine what would a magical city be like. You'd still have transportation. Maybe there's people flying and little taxis going around. I mean, just lots of different things happening. So I think it's a lot of stimulus for your party to hear about all those things, and you could just really have a lot of fun, I think, embellishing this Sphinx City that Justin has created. So I think you should check it out and have a lot of fun unraveling this mystery under Memory and Murder in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Names Games, May 2021 Patreon collection. And it's from Samurai Sheepdog, $10 for 14 pages, and Kevin Glessing. It says, Dempseys are cousins to the always helpful race who bind themselves to an adventuring party in order to assist them on their adventures. I should mention this is for Pathfinder, first edition. The Materia hail from a world where ancient scrolls speak of elder races and a creator as flawed as the beings he creates. Which is based on the elves of Skyrim. Starfinder stats for Mekanin, including the ability to transform into vehicles or beasts. The Mind Arc, which is an homage to the Mentat of Dune. And splicing is based on the concept from the Biohazard game. So lots of inspired stuff. I know they have a Patreon where people suggest things they want. So that's why you kind of get these random things. But it's great because you can then take these things that were inspired and really work them into your campaign, and maybe even bring some of your favorite video game or other book or whatever into your table, which is really cool. So here's you can see requested by Lance McComber. So the creators here are focusing on the requests of their patrons, which is really nice. I mean, and what a cool Patreon account, right? To have the ability to basically request something and then later see it in a book. I mean, how often does that happen? Never. I think maybe a couple times I've seen that, a couple different Patreons that do that, but very few. So yeah, you get all these different things. There's different elves in here. So it says, of the always helpful, the Dempseys are the most polarizing among adventuring groups. While they can be just as beneficial as their cousins, Dempseys have to try carefully not to outshine their other party members so that nobody feels like they're being left out. It's a tenuous and difficult balance to maintain, but Dempseys who manage it can enjoy a lifetime of second-string heroism and success. Where the always helpful are often bound to an object, Dempseys bind themselves to an adventuring party as a whole, and as long as they remain near at least one of their allies, they can continue to exist without issue. They also have a little more control over their relative permanence, being able to fade out conveniently to give others the spotlight in specific situations. So that's fun that there's this race basically that's tied to the party. Really fun concept. I like that. You could do so many things with that. And that's just one of the cool races that you'll get in this book. So I think you should check it out under Names Games May 2021 collection in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Squeaks in the Deep, a chronicle source book for Pugmire and Monarchies of Mal from Onyx Path Publishing. And it's 158 pages. It's $19.99 for the PDF, or you can get a hardcover for $50 for premium, or $30 $9.99 for standard color. And then there's various combos to get those PDFs and print bundles. Lots of authors, including Dixie Cochran, Alison Seib, Joshua Allen Doach, and Travis Legge, and Jessica Markram, Eddie Webb, and Rob Wieland. So tons of cool people involved in this. I know Travis, I've seen lots of work from Travis that I've enjoyed. It says, rats and mice live in the margins of the empires of dogs and cats, with homes that connect to the underneath, a vast collection of warrens, tunnels, caves, and other hidden places. It is a dangerous place full of unexplained phenomena and terrifying creatures. But it is also full of wonders of ages past and the thrill of discovery. For the rodents believe man was part of something called science, a way to learn power through study, observation, and experimentation. Perhaps through the exploration of the underneath, they can rediscover science. It's time to listen to the squeaks in the deep. And so, this is for use with Pugmire, Monarchies of Mal. Those are games where, you've got these anthropomorphic dogs and cats, etc. But you can use it with either one or jointly, and it includes 2 new species for players to portray, including rats and mice, and then you've got 6 new rodent callings, psionic rules, information on the underneath, as well as a variety of new enemies. And then there's a whole adventure called Confluence of Cults. So really exciting. I think Pugmire is really fun. I mean, people really love anthropomorphic stuff. I mean, there's even the Pirates of Pugmire where you can basically be a pirate dog, which is fun. So it's exciting to see, continued releases from Onyx Path to support these systems, which are basically D20 5th edition style games. So very, very cool. So you can see here with the table of contents, you've got the different races and the mice and rats and the callings, and then you've got backgrounds like deep dweller, field rodent, refugee, and then you've got some knacks that they can take on, and then you've also got psionics, and lots of powers under the psionics, and then life in the margins, various advice for dealing with things like psionics, and then a whole bunch of information on the underneath, so you can use that setting if you want, and then a whole section on enemies. I mean, this is really comprehensive because it really has all kinds of stuff, and it's got I love this Miskatonic here at the start, which is like a reference to Lovecraft, because Miskatonic University and other things in Lovecraft material. So you could see this beautiful artwork of the rats making different things, and you've got the intro, inspirations like the American Tale and the Secret Life of Pets, Secret of Nymph, of course, and it goes through what to expect in the book. And there's just even a lot of, I think, lore and story in here for you to enjoy. See if we can read some of that for you. It says, "Good morning, Mika. I trust this day finds you well. I'm writing to you in the hopes that you may be able to offer me a bit of guidance. You see, it's now my 3rd day in the above ground, and it's all rather overwhelming. I know you've traveled above ground extensively. Indeed, your reputation precedes you. When I ask whom I should consult as an expert in the field, it's your name that keeps coming up. I'm eager to continue my mission, but integrating into this strange world as a rat as well, it's more of a hurdle for me than I'd expected. I've already managed to annoy several dogs who live up here, although between you and me, I don't know how they manage to go about their daily business with no roofs above their heads. Only earlier today, I was so distracted by that large blue abyss above, I walked right into a particularly unfriendly baker's stall. He immediately accused me of trying to steal from him and chased me from the market. This incident is what inspired me to write to you for guidance. Can you please offer me any words of assistance you may have? Thank you in advance. Scramble." So this rat or mouse fellow, is, or I guess it could be any gender, is struggling to deal with this notion of a sky and other things going on. And it's exciting. It's to see this sort of in-game letter being written, and some of the things that you could encounter. It looks like Mika does write back to Scramble, and I'll let you come here and read that so you can see what advice Scramble gets for dealing with above ground life. And But I just think the setup is really cool. If you're into Pugmire already, this is going to really enhance that experience. If you're not, this could be a really fun way to get into this. But you could even use it for other stuff. Maybe you have some rat folk in D&D that you're playing that you want to integrate more and give them some experience. I mean, this whole underneath area, you could take some bits from that. Some of these other, the psionic rules maybe have some things that you could use. Psionics isn't very well detailed in 5th edition, so to have options for that could be cool. So lots and lots here. I love that it's print on demand and digital and lots of options. So really beautiful, fun work for you to check out. And it's in the links below under Squeaks in the Deep, so give it a click. Next, we've got Trollhouse Cookies from Night Owl Odysseys, and it's kind of a parody on Trollhouse Cookies, right? It's $4, 12 pages, 5th edition. It says the sleepy town of Redminster is just a bit too quiet as of late. Shops sit unopened, carts lay abandoned, and not a soul can be seen on the dusty streets of the quaint town. What could have happened to have driven an entire town of people away? And so you can see the beautiful artwork. It's for average party level of 5. And it's 4 to 6 characters of 4 to 8th level, of course. And you get, as usual with them, maps, tokens, music, and items. So all this stuff that you can reuse. I mean, this is some sort of treehouse, it looks like, so you can reuse that. Here's a village map that you can reuse. All these tokens with these fun characters wielding cookies. Because again, it's Trollhouse Cookies, right? And this little tree creature thing, sash of the cookie elves, fey touched cookies, just some fun stuff. And then you get those musical tracks that you can reuse. So reusability galore, always in Night Owl Odyssey stuff. I love to see it. And it's really cool. And I'm hoping at some point they do like a bundle where they sell a number of their adventures together, because I think that'd be another great way to get people into their stuff, because I love it. I love that they offer so much stuff. If I was DMing, I would grab this immediately, because just all the resources I could use for $4. I can reuse the maps. I can reuse the music. Reusability is key, because makes your money go further, right? So check it out under Trollhouse Cookies in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Unearthed Spoils, Volume 7, Sands of the Desert from Grimm Press, and authors Angisphere and Beth Jones, $8.99 for 25 pages. And as usual, the Unearthed Spoils includes magic items, spells, and archetypes, as well as, in this case, some desert challenges, because each of these issues are centered around a certain area or terrain. So you can see the beautiful artwork. They've got the subclasses here with just stunning pictures of the characters, as well as all these fun little items that you can look at. So let's look inside. So you get to see 10 pages of the 25 and all these little items in here. Just fun. I love the look of these different items. And then you've got spells. So we'll read one of the spells and one of the items. So Mummy's Rot, that sounds really fun. It's got a casting time of 1 action, 30 feet range, instantaneous for druid, sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. You point a finger at a target you can see within range, uttering an ancient curse of the tombs. A black tendril of necromantic energy rises out from your finger and burrows into the flesh of the victim. On a successful spell attack, the target takes necrotic damage. In addition, the target must succeed on a con saving throw or be cursed with Mummy Rot. The cursed target can't regain hit points, and its hit point maximum decreases by 3d6 for every 24 hours that elapse. If the curse reduces the target's hit point maximum to 0, the target dies and its body turns to dust. The curse lasts until removed by the remove curse spell or other magic. And I should mention this is 3rd level spell. And then it's got some upcasting where they increase the damage. So that's just really fun. I love the feel of that. Especially if you want to have like a mummy adventure or explore some tombs or a pyramid or something in the desert, that could be a really fun spell. Even if you just want to give it to an enemy, it doesn't have to be one the players have. Either way, it could be really fun. So let's read about the Rod of Dowsing. This rod is made from wood of a Joshua tree and is forked at one end. It has 3 charges. While holding the rod, you can use an action to expend a charge to locate a nearby water source. If a water source exists within 3 miles that consists of more than 10 gallons of water, the rod will begin to shake and point in the direction of the water. The rod will continue to point in the direction of the water for 1 hour or until you reach the water source. Whichever comes first. The rod regains 1d3 expended charges daily at dawn. So that could be super helpful if you're in the desert, right? Need some water, it's going to help you find it. So that would really make the travel, I think, go really quickly. And then they've got this Hourglass of the First Timekeepers, which is a legendary and unique item. So cool. It's got things like Alter Time. You can flip the hourglass to become a focal point of a 30-foot radius area of fluctuating time or aura of fluctuating time that lasts for 3 rounds. The attuned creature and all allies within the radius of effect gain the benefits of a haste spell. All foes within the area of effect must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or suffer the effects of a slow spell. When a foe ends their turn within the aura's radius, they can make another wisdom saving throw to end the effect. So just fun. I didn't even read all the abilities on that, so you got to come back here and check it out for yourself, because there's just so much cool stuff in here for the desert or for beyond, and with really fun artwork. So look for it in the links below under Unearthed Spoils 7 and give it a click. Next we've got Vaz'kin'rai from Animancer. It's 619 and author Jake Bhattacharya. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. But it says it's the 1-session adventure for 5th edition, which sees first level heroes venture beneath the village of Dur to uncover the secrets of a mysterious cosmic vault. What will the heroes find within, and what price will they pay for uncovering it? So you get 2 creatures, 4 new magic items, 5 pre-made characters, and just tons of original artwork. I love this image. Very cool. And this map looks really fun too, leading to this really architecture chamber. It's all like rough, caverny, and then it becomes very architectural, which is nice. And they even have a video you can watch on it. I love it. Let's look inside. So you get to see all 32 pages of the book, which is so nice. So you get the intro to the adventure, the hooks. Read some of those in a minute. And I love that they break it out with tactics, scaling, treasure for the encounters. And that's really helpful. Makes it, sometimes as a DM, you're just so busy doing stuff, rolling dice, talking, you can lose your place really easily. So I always appreciate it when publishers try to break things up and give you headings that you can look for. There's some magic items. You can see all the cool magic items here. And then they've got some monsters, CR2 and CR1 here. And then here's your map. And then the campaign background information. Optional, just so much stuff. You've got a lot of support in here for you to really be able to, even with these pre-gen characters, so you can quickly jump in, get started. I always like the pre-gens too, because maybe you're traveling and you just don't have all your usual materials. If you just have this PDF or buy it while you're away, you can print that. You can print those, or reference those on screen. And I love this little character here, the Solari. So really fun. Let's see what we can read for you. It says, your travels have brought you to the dwarven village of Dur as the sun is setting. An unassuming village, its most notable landmark is the elm tree growing in the village outskirts, known for both its prodigious size and the unusual silver leaves it grows. You find yourselves in Dur's local watering hole, the Silver Dram, a warm, lively establishment. In pride of place in the tavern's center grows a small sapling, a tuft of silver leaves at its top. A chalkboard in the corner reads, Try Gerder's Silver Liqueur, a treat for ages 3 to 300. In faded writing, and Gerda, the barkeep in question, is leant over the counter, deep in conversation with another patron. So yeah, that gives you the feeling of the place. You get information on Gerda here, what her motivations are, her mannerisms, and all that stuff. And then you have an encounter with tactics, scaling, and treasure clearly marked. That's awesome. There's hooks here that it goes into. So it says an unexpected guest hook sees the adventurers attacked while in a local tavern, prompting investigation. So that's the one we looked at there. So many ways to work you into this adventure. And I love that there's these lots of dialogue sections that you can read if you want. And then, of course, the flavor text. Yeah, I love the layout of this. I feel like it's so easy to read. And there's so much going on here. Okay, let's read about the Starlit Hall. A large door stands at the far end of this corridor, bearing the same hexagonal slot as the complex's entrance and a sigil depicting a great tree. The walls and ceiling of the corridor are transparent, a night sky filled with stars and nebula visible through them. From the walls and ceiling extend a number of shafts of pale starlight that crisscross the corridor. So that's this location, which is beautifully painted here. Just so cool. Yeah, just lots of stuff going on. All kinds of items in here for you to use elsewhere or as part of this adventure. I just think this is really well made, and it's at a great price point. I mean, $6 for so much stuff that you can reuse, and a really fun sounding adventure. I love the location and the silver trees and stuff. So check it out under Vaz'kin'rai in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Wanderer's Guide to Merchants and Magic from Eventir Games for 5th edition. It's $25 for 168 pages. And it's really cool. This has 23 ready-to-play magic shops, 120 new magic items, price list for the magic items, and 4 adventures for 5th edition. You've got rules, guidelines for rolling tables, for trading magic items. It says all adventurers will eventually want to buy, sell, and trade magic items. But in 5e, that's easier said than done, especially for the GM. Letting the characters shop for magic items usually entails several hours of tedious preparation just to figure out what's for sale and for how much. Magic items should never be boring or difficult. Luckily, they no longer have to be. So you can see here how they really set it up with the layout to make it so easy, because you've got the sort of quick overview in this little box here of the location of the shop, and you've got all the details about it, description, tips for role-playing the characters, trading tips, and merchant biases, because shopkeepers maybe have had bad experiences for certain types of items. Like, I don't want wands anymore. They're too much trouble, right? Whatever it is, they can relate that through these merchant biases here. And then you've got, of course, the stat block for the merchant, quote, and then information on security, some hooks, a companion, somebody that works in the store maybe, or is just hanging around the store, and then your full inventory list with prices. And trust me, I know pricing is a nightmare in 5th edition. And it's frustrating. It would be nice if it was a little bit more managed better from WotC, but it is what it is, and you have to kind of tweak your own pricing. But what's even more frustrating, I think, is that in situations like this, you don't have like a set list already ready for you, so that you can just say, okay, this is how much this costs, this is how much that costs, and get down to business. And you can always do multiples on price lists like this. If your economy is more expensive, you can add a 0 to everything. If it's less expensive, you can chop a number off. There's a number of ways to take a set price list and scale it to fit with whatever your economy is doing. If you have that detailed of a situation, a lot of DMs don't get into that, but if you do, don't worry about a set price list. You can tweak those things. But I just love that they're giving you that, because you just don't find that in a lot of books. So really, really cool. It's such a nice layout. So yeah, we don't have a preview here to show you, but that's okay, because you can already see from this picture here like how cool it's going to be inside. And Eventir does really good work, so I'm confident you're going to be loving this and really being able to take advantage of all these great shops. It's 168 pages. That's a lot of shops for you to have. And that means You don't have to like try to reuse the same one over and over or get the characters back to the same shop over and over. You can just have a new shop appear, one of the other ones in the book, because there's so many here. And you can use these characters and price lists elsewhere. They don't have to be for what's on the page. You could have, just flip to a random page and say, this is the random price list and what's available at whatever place, right? So very cool. I like this a lot, and I'm excited that it's available. So check it out under Wanderer's Guide to Merchants and Magic in the links below and give it a click. Well, that's our last DriveThruRPG title this week. We're going to move on to DM's Guild. But before we do, I did want to tell you that on May 10th, we're going to be teasing our new book. We're going to reveal the cover on May 10th, and then each day after that, leading up to our release on May 16th, we are going to be sharing new details about the book with new images and things for you to look at. And we hope you join us at Splinterverse everywhere on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course here on YouTube. So please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment. I will respond to all the comments personally, and I love hearing from you. And of course, support all the awesome creators that we've shared in this episode by clicking those links in the video description and buying these books. And if you click any of those links and make any kind of purchase, you're going to be helping the channel through a small fee through their affiliate program. So that's great as well. And if you really want to be generous and help support the channel, consider purchasing one of our books. We've got 5 that were released in 2021, including Potions Unlocked, which is on sale right now as part of the D&D sale, so you can get it for 20% off. It is over 100 pages on print on demand or digital, including tons of information on potions, brand new potions with short stories on each one, and you find out about how each potion tastes, how it smells, what the side effects are. There's some optional rules for potions. There's vendors with all sorts of information on the vendors and locations. You could really have a whole potion themed campaign with what's in that book. It's a lot of material, and really it'll make potions interesting. You'll never have to worry about them being boring again in your game or things that are just overlooked. And then we've got Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages on print on demand or digital, with Fey goodness, everything from subclasses to spells to adventures, encounters, magic items, even a new consumable in there. So you'll want to check that out. We've got Van Richten's Libram of Lineages, which gives you optional rules for lineages and 4 conflict-driven lineages to really get you some conflict for your characters, whether they start out that way or you foist these lineages on them. It'll be conflict-driven for sure. And then you've got Secrets of the Draugr, which is a brand new race that combines the Drow and the Duergar in an exciting new direction, including 3 backgrounds, new deities, adventure hooks, lots of fun, good stuff. And then we've got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, all kinds of dragon-themed goodness, including subclasses for each and every class that are dragon-themed, plus a familiar, horde magic items, draconic gifts. If it's dragon, it's in there, so you should check it out in the links below. All right, let's move on to DM's Guild. First, we have Battle of the Bands, a level 5 one-shot from Brian Mayle. And it is 15 pages. It says, attend the concert of a lifetime in this one-shot adventure. The concert of a lifetime is about to take place. The party taking on the role of an indie band of their own, potentially get into and thrown out of the exclusive club Elvenor, and try to make a name for themselves as dark forces work in the background. When Danny Breeze and the boys go missing, it'll be up to them to try and save the missing boys or use this chance to perform in their place, attempting to go down in history as one of the greatest bands ever. So it's a 3 to 4 hour adventure for 5th level characters, 3 to 6 players. It's set within the Minthus Plateau in the city of Sharn in Eberron, though it can be played on its own or fit into any location. It says, an adventure of magic, music, and mystery at a 90s style rock concert featuring unique maps, NPCs, and a magic item. Custom mechanics for musical skill challenges, branching chapters depending on player choice. So looking inside, you have all the information, kind of setting it up, and then you've got a chapter 0 all the way through chapter 5, and then you've got some maps and magic items at the end. So here's your adventure summary, your hook, nice little map of the adventure as well to show you how you can branch based on player choices, and then adapting the adventure, bios on the NPCs, exploring the city, which is optional, and then fun little rock band art, of course. It says, arriving at the arena, the party arrives at Platinum Dragon Arena late afternoon, finding themselves in a bustling crowd. They all seem amped to be here, about to see the concert of a lifetime. It's late afternoon as you all arrive at the theater district of Mythless Plateau, the center of entertainment in Sharn, and the Platinum Dragon Arena towers above you all. Huge posters of the now most popular band in the world, Danny Breeze and the Boys, adorns the sides with Danny Breeze and the Boys' Hurricane Heartthrob World Tour in bold, jagged yellow and pink lettering. There are huge crowds in the square, almost all of them here to see the show. So, and then it gives you ways to find out information about the band, and then basically goes into the adventure with some musical challenges even. But yeah, it's really cool that you might have to take the place of the band, and that it's got some Eberron connections, and just a fun concept. And only $4.99 to basically live out a 90s fantasy, of Battle of the Bands, and even this artwork on the front is evocative of that time period. So I think it could be a lot of fun. There's been some other supplements dealing with like rock themed things that you could work into this as well. There's subclasses that have rock themed stuff going on. All kinds of stuff that could be worked into this, and it could just be really fun. You could even go like a gem in the holograms route and have, some illusory things involved in the performance, and just lots of opportunity here. So I think you should check it out under Battle of the Bands and give it a click in the links below. Next we have Blood Hunter, a 2-hour Blood Hunter adventure for solo play, with this really beautiful cover. I love it. And it's from Anthony Joyce and Wraith Wright Productions. $9.95 for 76 pages. It says, you are a blood hunter, feared by even the vilest monstrosities throughout Faerun. Commoners shut their windows and lock their doors as you approach, and small children cry at the sight of your unnatural demeanor. Such is the burden of life as a blood hunter. It says, experience this epic adventure, originally a duet adventure, built entirely around Matthew Mercer's Blood Hunter class and inspired by Andrzej Sapkowski's book series, The Witcher. The version includes Gordon McAlpin's beautiful illustrations from the original. Sit down and play a 5th level blood hunter on a quest to maintain the balance. Revisit Phandalin post-Lost Mines of Phandelver and aid the town by hunting down a menacing werewolf. Interact with unique NPCs in a world built exclusively for one player to foster total immersion. Musical scores are included throughout the adventure and linked to Spotify to allow a single click to access the music that creates a living atmosphere. There'll be some newly designed blood hunter mechanics to craft concoctions, and they use hemocraft and corrupted alchemy to harness the essence of their slain enemies and concoctions that modify their capabilities in battle. These concoctions only work on those that have undergone the process of Hunter's Bane, and it includes 14 concoction crafting recipes. So really fun. I think it's awesome that there's Spotify playlists integrated, because then, a lot of times you get these suggestions for music, right? And it's just like somebody saying, well, listen to this song by this artist. And it's like, then you got to go Google it, or you got to look it up on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to music. And this just takes you out of the moment, right? But if it's already linked in the book, it's gonna be so easy to just jump to that and really get the feel. And if the author is suggesting a playlist, that means that they've already envisioned it playing behind what you're reading. So it's not going to be this weird experience. It's going to be very, very tightly coupled with what you're reading, which is nice. And I love that they're expanding the Blood Hunter opportunities with these concoctions here. I love that it's solo, so you can really experience it. I mean, there's a lot of players who don't get the opportunity to deal with Blood Hunters. Maybe their DM doesn't allow Blood Hunters, or they just haven't had an opportunity to play it. And so this is a way that you can play Blood Hunter without worrying about your DM or your table or what anybody thinks. You just can play it on your own. And it's really cool that it builds on, a module people know, and that there's ways to immerse yourself in this world kind of on your own. So I think that's awesome. So let's look inside. So you get the prologue and all about your character, and then talks about the musical cues. And then you get into chapter 1. You get to see 22 of the 76 pages. So I'm just going to scroll through so you can kind of see some of the different ways it works. And they're wisely using hyperlinks. So, since it's solo, there is a certain amount of like choose your own adventure to this kind of stuff, right? So having that ability to get to the end of what you're reading and then just click to jump to the next thing instead of go to page 29 and then you have to like thumb through or go up into your PDF and type in the page number to get to the one that you want. You can just click to it. So, and it gives you even options to choose, and then those are hyperlinks. So really smart use of the hyperlink stuff here. And it looks like something called a treacherous gift here, which is a weapon, and then you've got even a map involved, some maps, really cool, to get to different places. So we're going to zoom in and find some stuff to read for you. Let's see, this looks interesting. It says, remove any of the following phrases from your notes. You haven't encountered those areas yet. Army of Ribia, citizen of Ribia, etc. Also remove any items you got in the swamp and restore any items you lost or used up while here. If you won Thrax's companionship, he is no longer with you. Finally, update your character sheets to reflect having completed a long rest. So, this is like basically you reached a dead end and they're resetting you, which is cool. It's nice that they do that because some of these books, you get to a dead end and that's it, it's over. But yeah, these are really cool. So I'm gonna just find a good one I can read for you. I don't want to give too much away because you're spoiling for yourself in a solo adventure, right? So let me scroll way back up here real quickly to get to an easier part to read. So the cottage grounds. The morning sun, just now peeking over the tall pines, casts its glow across the valley. The light glitters on a blanket of frost that coats everything. You follow the werewolf's tracks into the valley. When you reach the stream, your sense of the creature's passing fades. You check the ground but find no present sign of it. Still, you are confident that the beast's destination is the cottage at the valley's center. You pause to get a better look at the structure before crossing the stream. It is an L-shaped building made of stone. The roof is covered in mismatched wooden shingles. A smaller building stands behind the cottage, probably a barn or stable. 6 beet patches grow in 2 neat rows nearby, and a stack of chopped kindling rests by the cottage door. You see no signs of movement. You prepare for a confrontation and wade through the stream. When you reach the kindling pile, you find a sharp hand axe on the ground. The cottage's front door is slightly ajar, and from this distance, you see a thin curl of smoke coming from within. So, very moody kind of intro, and it tells you, what do? Do you examine the beet patches? Do you examine the werewolf tracks? Do you examine the smaller structure, knock on the cottage door, burst into the cottage, and then you click based on what you chose to do, and it's going to jump through the PDF to a different part, right? They're not necessarily sequential. It's very choose your own adventure, which I love. So this is just a lot of fun. I think it's really cool to get to be a blood hunter, to get to do this by yourself. You can try playing it multiple different ways to see different outcomes. Maybe you're going to check out the beats in the first one, and then the second time through, you're going to kick down the door and see what happens then. And, just so many different options and really fun artwork to accompany it. So I like it. I think it's well written, and just I think it's going to be a good time for anybody who picks it up. So take a look in the links below under Blood Hunter and give it a click. Next, we got Lost Souls of Larton, and it's by McDoney and Ray Valise. It's 32 pages, and it says it's an introductory adventure for newly created characters. It is designed to be played in 1 or 2 sessions, planned for approximately 6 to 12 hours, depending on your group's playstyle. It's optimized for 4 PCs of level 1, plus an additional non-player character. It says caravans have gone missing around Larton. The mage Dahlia, the only survivor of a recent bandit attack on a caravan, was left for dead while trying to defend the caravan from certain doom. That's what she told everybody, at least. Dahlia Grimsbane, a warlock, is desperately trying to appease her master, the Great Old One. Her binding to her master, a necklace, has been stolen by the very bandit she worked with. Without the necklace, she is running out of time and will soon lose her soul, or worse. To recover her binding, she accompanies the PCs on their quest to root out the bandit threat. But below Rose Manor, now the home base of the bandits, something sinister lurks, and only the PCs can stop it. So you've got your intro, parts 1 through 3, and then some appendix material. But yeah, it looks fun. You get to see basically the whole book in the free preview, which is very nice. So kind of the author to let you look at everything. Let's scroll back up here and see what we can. I mean, there's just so much stuff in here that looks really cool. Yeah, let's see. The Caravan Master and the Smith. As you dismount, a man in his late 40s steps out of the building. He spits out something undefined, and his left hand moves to his sword. "Well met," he says with a soft voice and a full mouth. "Who are you, and what do you want?" Again, he skillfully spits through his teeth. "This is Casimir Nickelmore, the caravan master and sheriff. His job is to make sure the caravans can pass through Larton unhindered after a stop at the station. He's skeptical of anybody who is a foreigner, does not arrive by caravan, or both. The PCs need to convince Casimir that they are sent here to help. If they try to engage him in conversation, he tells them, 'I'm Casimir, master of caravans in Larton, and the sheriff.'" He raises his voice a bit. "And I'm asking you again, who are you and what do you want?" He spits again. The sound from the smithy next door stops, and a half-orc strolls over to the caravan master, a large hammer over her shoulder. So really intense way to start, like, saying, "Hey, tell me why you're here, or else," basically. And so pretty cool. I like how there's that intensity to it, and it's well written. There's no typos, really easy to read. This looks really well put together, and just so much detail. And I love that you can read the whole thing before you even purchase it. So very kind, very kind. You can see some really good maps too of the different areas. And remember, anytime you get a town like this, you can reuse it. It can become the home base. These maps like this, you can reuse those for other adventures, even with the same group, maybe. So love it. I think you should check it out under Lost Souls of Larton. Give it a click. Next, we've got Magical Core from John Paget, and it's 27 pages. It says it's a campaign-defining storyline or an epic one-shot. It forms the very essence of magic and life on the material plane. The power is considered divine by those that know of the magical core's existence, and its pathways connect to all other planes and forms of magic. The core's magic is far too powerful for any mortal being to interact with. Fortunately, there are means to increase a creature's protections and skills within the core's environment. The module gives the DM and players chance to explore an epic storyline, either as a separate campaign, a new thread to an existing one, or an unexpected level to a dungeon crawl, leading the players deeper underground than they thought possible. Any party level of 12 or above, although a lower party could attempt it if they are allowed to level up along the way. It's made up of an outer guardian, 4 themed outer levels, and a finale in the central 5th level. So 2 to 4 sessions or 10 hours of playing time. It says the built-in system to encourage the players to get rid of their many magical items in exchange for help in the magical core. There's wild magic options, unique creature encounters, 5 different magical environments to explore, and saving the world. So you can see lots of material here. So much stuff, even a wild form table. So here's the Keeper of the Core and some dialogue options. I love that you get multiple options of what they can say. And then here's something to do with cards. So you have a whole table on hearts, diamonds, spades, clubs, etc. And then there's all these rewards. And then within the core, there are 5 levels to the magical core. So it looks like you use this little grid to track where they are in terms of the core. And then here's the different encounters you can have. So it's like a 1d10 and it gives you lots of options. So there's Magical Surge Explosion. On number 10 it says if the players are aware they gain advantage on their dex save. The players must make a dex save to avoid effects of a magical surge. Any player that fails must make a D100 roll on the magical surge table. They are considered the target of the effect. So I like this layout with the die rolls being very obvious, what they, on the side here with these icons. Seems like it could be really easy to find stuff in here. Here's the rewards table. It says each chamber contains opportunities to offer magical items and gain protections from the 4 magical elements. And then it lists those. The gods will decide what your offerings are worth, but each offering pool is protected by your cards. Creatures that I have imprisoned have been added to my deck and create a most enjoyable card game. So, and then based on the card, there's various various monsters, so like Lamia, Barb Devil, Oni, Shield Guardian, etc., Mummy Lord. So lots of interesting ways of interacting with this, and I think that's awesome. It says the magical core forms from the very essence of magic and life on the material plane. The module gives the dungeon master and players a chance to explore this epic storyline, and you can plug and play it into an existing dungeon, so it can be added as part of the dungeon crawl. So undiscovered is very possible that the dungeon, no matter how trivial it may appear in, is connected to a place much older than the creatures that dwell there now. Over time, it has been populated by those seeking a hideout with knowing that a narrow opening leads to the keeper's chamber outside of the core's entrance. It could have been avoided, guarded, or it's a trap. Treasure hunters and power-hungry mages looking for the magic underground could be considered prized scalps for powerful creatures. What creatures are lurking in wait, and what will they do once they realize the party are tougher than they appear? So 27 pages of really interesting options. This is, this magical core is a special magical place, right? And so things are a little different there. You've got this keeper of the core with all these different dialogue options and saying, I am the keeper. I was spawned soon after the material plane was created, and I have been evolving ever since. As long as this plane exists, I am here. And, it's getting them involved. It says, I can help you, but I will test you first to see if you are ready. You came here as adventurers, but if you survive, you will be changed. I have here a set of cards. We play by handing out 3 cards each. We pick a card and pass a card to another player until each player decides to stick with the cards they have. Then we decide who the winner is. You can hold as many cards as you like. Many previous players have decided to use gaming rules such as poker. And it says the winning cards will determine the challenges that the players will face in each of the keeper's side chambers. So that's how you get these monsters that we looked at. So just really some interesting ways of setting things up. And like I said, I like these clearly defined tables where it's easy to see what's going to happen. So just a lot packed into these 27 pages. And I think for $5.99, you're going to get a lot of stuff that it looks really interesting that you can use either as part of this full campaign or even separately, even just using the deck of cards. You could take that out and use it elsewhere. So good options. Check it out under Magical Core in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Monster Weaknesses by Daniel Kahn, R.A. Messenger, Devlin DM, Glitchy Pixie, Madison Nickel, and more. And it is a best copper seller in its first week. It is $11.95 for 59 pages. It's got 500 plus combat and social weaknesses for every monster in the monster manual. And social weaknesses for every monster that speaks a language. The inspiration for these weaknesses comes from a creature's anatomy, description in the monster manual, or well-known legends. Each weakness presented in this book is meant to be a trait that can be appended to a creature's stat block. So 14 custom illustrated experts. This book contains characters knowledgeable in each of the different monster types to walk you through these monster weaknesses. These characters can be used in the campaign as NPCs or potentially to be authors of the tomes or notes found in the library. Advice and mechanics. This book contains advice and mechanics for discovering monster weaknesses as well as designing your own. So really cool that they've gone through the monsters in the monster manual and laid out some various weaknesses for them. We've seen a number of titles do similar things. So there's the bruised and bloodied, which goes through and gives you like their different effects at their bloodied level, which is 50% hit points, and then we've got home field advantage, which goes into like, here's all the layers for everything in the monster manual. And now we've got a book that says, here's some weaknesses for all the monsters. And I love that people are really, making these companion books that go along with, they publish stuff so that you can quickly look up something and say, oh, okay, here's the weaknesses or the bloodied or the whatever that goes with these monsters. And my hope is someday that all of this will be able to be integrated into something like D&D Beyond, where we can actually have these alongside the original information. But that might be a little bit a ways away, but with WotC buying D&D Beyond, it might be a possibility now. And so I think it's really cool, and I love that they've covered every single monster. And what you have to remember with these things is that even though these traits are being assigned to certain monsters, there's nothing stopping you from using a trait somewhere else. It could be on another monster or just on an NPC or wherever, and then they're giving you advice on, for discovering other monster weaknesses. And what's really cool too is that some of these other connections to the monsters aren't as story interesting to me as weaknesses, because weaknesses require you to, figure that out either through the puzzle of trying to figure it out or through asking the characters that are in here as well. So there's some characters that know all about these monster weaknesses, or you have to read a book on it and learn that, okay, this is a Baylor's weakness, or a Cloaker's weakness, or whatever, right? And so there's story potential, which is a big thing for me. So and look at the fun artwork in here. Really cool characters and artwork going on. So let's take a look inside. So you can see it goes through like what it is, how the weaknesses work, and then it goes into designing them, and then you've got them separated by creature type. So if it's an aberration, everything from an aboleth to a spectator, and it tells you where to go to get those, etc. All the way through all the creatures from the monster manual, which the monster manual has quite a lot of those, right? So it talks about using them, discovering them, and then designing. So very cool that they're giving you help to create your own as well. So just looking here, aberrations, you get to see 13 of the 59 pages, so lots that you can look at. But aboleth, it says nullified mucus. If an aboleth takes 30 or more lightning damage in a turn, the lightning destroys the disease spreading powers of its mucus cloud trait and its tentacle attack. The aboleth must take an action to restore its disease spreading abilities. A creature can make a charisma deception check to cause the aboleth to doubt its flawless memory. The aboleth must make a wisdom saving throw opposed by the character's deception check. On a failed save, the aboleth becomes distracted, and all charmed creatures within 120 feet of it affected by its enslave action may immediately make a wisdom saving throw to end the effect. On a successful save, the aboleth is immune to the effect for 24 hours. So those are both really cool, good options to make the aboleth have a weakness. But in reading it, I thought of a couple more things. You could have, you could use these weaknesses for either an older aboleth that maybe is less powerful. You could use it for an injured aboleth or an aboleth under some sort of effect that is making it weaker. Maybe there's a big bad that's controlling aboleths, but because they're controlled and they're not completely under their own power, they're weaker. But my favorite idea I had, and I got 3 from reading this, so you can see how my mind works. My favorite idea is that if you are playing against these monsters and maybe you screwed up and you gave your party a monster that's a little too powerful, maybe the CR isn't right, or you did your calculations wrong, or you're some reason, maybe a person's missing from the table that week that was supposed to be there, and so your balance is all off. You can throw these weaknesses in to kind of, without it looking like you've basically weakened the monster for them. You can just make it a story thing. Oh, well, this happens to be one that has this nullified mucus ability, and so it's going to be a little bit easier to overtake, or the harsh reminders trait, right? So like the options you presented here, there's just so many different things you can do, and they've given you some really good options. And as I said, you can, just because it says it's for the 𝘬𝙤 doesn't mean it has to be. You can take it and put it on something else. I mean, now some of these do reference traits or actions of a creature, so that might be harder to port, but you could still swap out stuff. And I love the artwork throughout here. The artist who did all these is really good. I definitely like their work here. I think, and I love that it's got that cohesive look too, that you're seeing this sort of portrait style repeated for all the portraits. I think that's really cool. Nice touch. And it just looks like a lot of fun and really helpful. I'm encouraged by all of these sort of tying into the monster manual books. I think it's a great way to go. So check it out under Monster Weaknesses in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Music of the Night by Elven Tower. It's a level 4 adventure. It says in Music of the Night, Alexander Foyth is the son of 2 famous musicians. He has had a life of luxury his whole life and became a child prodigy at a young age. When he became an adult, he was faced with the reality of the world. He traveled and sought an audience with the finest members of society. However, unlike his parents, people were adamant to answer his demands or please his every wish. Alexander responded with immaturity and unworthy behaviors. Despite the fact that he was incredibly talented, he was often kicked out of the courts and halls. Little by little, the rich young boy ended up in an alley, alone and dirty. A vulnerable soul like his is the perfect meal for a demon. A dark figure offers him to change his stars. He promises great power and the means to exert his revenge. He accepts at once, ignoring the price to pay. The demon leaves with the young lad's humanity. The musician prodigy becomes an ugly, gruesome being with pustules and blisters all over his face. Filled with hatred, he found refuge in an almost abandoned military outpost. From there, he has terrorized the people of Woodpinton at night for the last month. People cannot sleep anymore, and they even forbid music. They named the cloaked dark figure the musician of death. People have gone missing, others are dead. Someone must do something and find the truth. So I love how detailed that backstory is. And with Elven Tower, you always get really beautiful map work and layout. But yeah, that's a really cool story. You can see some nice detailed maps. I mean, look at this. This is really nice. Looks like some almost roots growing in this B10 chamber down here. And you've got each of the tower levels. Just fun stuff. So you get to see 9 of those 16 pages. So giving you some background lore, information on Woodpinton. And then here's a map of it. I mean, look at how nice that map is. And just a few labeled spots, so you can place all these other things. You can have the characters by a house or whatever you want to do with the rest of the area. If you need to add a magic shop, you could just put one in there. just really nice options as usual. So let's read a few of the adventure hooks. So the characters receive a letter from a friend of theirs from Woodpinton, Constable James. Some weird events occurred in town and he asks for their help. Strangely, James mentioned that music is a delicate matter at the moment and that there has been no singing, no music policy established for a month now. A crazy murdering minstrel is out. Villagers are scared. The letter ends by saying that people call it the musician of death. And then another one is bring me that spoiled brat. Duke Harlingham, who lives 2 days away from Woodpinton, summons the characters. A month ago, while the Duke was absent, Alexander came to his home and disrespected his daughter. He called her a basic wench. Every time the Duke explains the job, he rages and yells to the ceiling again, red-faced. His right hand and assistant must intercede at every turn. They offer 3,000 GP for hiring Alexander for bringing Alexander forth alive for public chastisement. So I love how different these are. Elven Tower usually does a really good job of making really distinct and different adventure hooks so that you can come at this from multiple angles. And as I've said before on their stuff, you can reuse these. You could twist this around and have it be a different NPC that Duke Harlingham once brought to him. So lots of reusability. This map is gorgeous, can be reused. I mean, these other maps are a lot of fun too. Just so much to offer for 95 cents. I mean, really, 95 cents. I mean, that's a steal for all the stuff in here. So grab it. It's in the links under Music of the Night. Give it a click. Next, we've got Timberfolk from Daryl Dominguez. It is $1 suggested price, 4 pages. It says, one day the trees will wake up and show us their strength. The Timberfolk, a race of humanoid trees that worship and protect nature. Thrown outside their forest, they must now find a new place they can call home and they can protect. Adventure with this new race to find your place amongst the vastness of the multiverse. So there's a full race, 5 racial feats, ideas for integrating it into settings outside the Forgotten Realms. So yeah, here's the interior. You get the ability score increases and all the usual height and weight information, language, all that stuff. So you are plant, which is cool. There's not a lot of plant races. And you got a false appearance while you remain motionless. You are indistinguishable from a normal tree. So that could be a really fun ability to play with, role-playing wise. Thanks to your connection and understanding of nature, you gain proficiency with one of the following: animal handling, medicine, nature, survival. Rooting feet, as long as you are standing on solid ground, you can spend half your movement to grow roots. While this trait is active, your speed is reduced to 0, and you have advantage on all ability checks or saving throws to avoid being moved or knocked prone. You remain rooted in this place until you are incapacitated, teleported, or you expend half your movement to uproot yourself. That's a fun ability, and very thematic, fits with it. Through sounds and gestures, you can communicate simple ideas with smaller beasts. Timberfolk love forest animals and often keep squirrels, possums, birds, or other creatures as companions among their foliage. And it says they are fierce protectors of nature, and as such, they must guard it however they see fit. So then you pick whether you're going to be a forest caretaker or protector. And so with caretaker, you get the druid craft cantrip, spike growth, plant growth based on your level, etc. On forest protector, your body is sturdy, so you can withstand strikes and make unarmed strikes with either your arms or branches, and you get to deal your 1d8 plus your strength modifier, piercing or bludgeoning, and then you get a higher base AC. So really fun stuff, and then some feats for your race, and then how to integrate them into other settings. So a really thorough job here covering this race. I think it could be a lot of fun. Just the role play opportunities alone are huge here. So check it out. It's under Timberfolk in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Trinkets of Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage by David Stevens, $2.50 for 11 pages. So there's 100 new trinkets that you might find in the Boundless Depth of Undermountain. They're inspired by the dread domain of Halaster Blackcloak, the mega dungeon of Undermountain. It's created to bring an additional layer of depth and world building to any Dungeon of the Mad Mage campaign or a campaign set in Waterdeep. Many of the trinkets are designed as plot devices to inspire side quests and one-shot adventures in and around Undermountain. And there's also 10 new magic items. And David Stevens has done quite a few titles related to trinkets. You can see a lot of them down here. So has a lot of experience making trinket tables. And so here we've got Section 1 trinkets, new trinkets, magic items, magic armor, etc. And then an introduction to Undermountain, and then you get right into the trinkets. So you get to see about half of them in the preview, which is really cool. So you got a large tan soiled cloth sack filled with rotted rations, a bit of chalk snapped off from a larger piece, an ornate skeleton key that is warm to the touch, a jug of port wine from the city of Waterdeep, and a 12-inch high statue of Moradin, dwarven god of the forge. So that's just a few. You can read 50 of them if you come here to this link that we've got in the video description and for Trinkets of Waterdeep. I mean, it's always helpful to have trinkets. I mean, they're going to say, well, what's on the body? I'm going to loot the body. And then you can pull out one of these trinkets, especially if you're doing, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Easily throw one of these in here. And I mean, you have 100 of them, so you can have 100 corpses looted and without repeating one of them. So many options. And these can be used outside of this. They can be used in player characters can have these trinkets. They can be just things that, when people look around the room, they see. So tons and tons of options. And it's only $2.50. So check it out under Trinkets of Waterdeep in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Verdigris Table, Grassland Encounters, Volume 1. Add breath to your world and surprise to your game with these integrated random encounters. It's $1.99 by Ryan Doyle, 9 pages. Those large swaths of empty green on the fantasy map representing flat plains, the steppes, and the prairies of your world don't have to be boring filler between important points of interest. They can be the site of adventures in their own right. Grab this table and roll 2d6, or simply choose an entry that catches your eye to make a stretch of overland travel more exciting. Alternatively, use these encounters to run a hex crawl or another exploration-based form of play. Or select from the included plot hooks and rumors to create a more linear adventure. So it's nice that Ryan has offered so many ways to engage this content, whether it's through the hooks or rolling or whatever you want to do, you can integrate this. There's also a video because Ryan and Verdigris Table have a YouTube channel, so you should check them out as well and subscribe. But let's look inside. So, and grasslands can be so dull. They don't always have a lot of stuff, right, naturally. So it's nice to have a book that's really focused on giving you a bunch of little encounters that you can do there. So there's this table at the beginning that kind of gives you some of the things that you could find, like an ink hole, whirlwind, storm, thunderstorm, harpies, roleplay prompt, favorite childhood game, story of a remembered celebration, etc. And then down below you get some really cool details like 𝙁𝙗𝙁 the Cyclops. The Cyclops, named 𝙁𝙗𝙁, is making these grasslands his new home. He loves adding animals to his flocks and is known to steal from the local shepherds. The party's mounts, pets, and even familiars may catch his solitary eye. When not wandering to collect animals, he can often be found expanding the stone walls of his pens or napping on a huge hammock in a nearby copse of trees. 𝙁𝙗𝙁 is slow to trust, but not slow to anger. He's also just a little slow in general. He has a singular love of animals and has a rust bag of tricks, from which he pulls out a new companion every morning. If befriended, persuaded, or tricked, he might share one fuzzy ball from his prized possession. He's reluctant to pull the last charge out, however, fearing that the bag might not refill again if emptied. So very flavorful, descriptive of this Cyclops, lots of personality, has some interests, has some things going on, has default sort of activities, so you could observe even from a distance if you want to be stealthy what the Cyclops is up to. So I love that. It says, Inoko followed the satyr 𝙁𝙗𝙗 here from the Feywild, lured by the music of their panpipes. The satyr considered Inoko good to have along for protection, but quickly grew bored with the giant and left him to his own devices. While a talented blacksmith back home, without metal or forge to work it, Inoko has put his focus on mere survival in this strange new land where he finds himself. So, lots of story potential there. You can even try to help get this giant back to his home. There's all this about accuracy with having a single eye. So very interesting. And that's just one. We just read one of the encounters that await you for grasslands, prairies, plains, etc. in this book. There's even encounters from above, roleplay prompts. I mean, seems like a really fun time and can help you fill in those like boring parts of the map with something, right? Or you can use these encounters outside of prairies as well. I'm sure, you know, that Cyclops could be in the middle of a forest or somewhere too, I guess. But very exciting. Check it out under Vertiger's table, Grassland Encounters, in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Waterdeep Mysteries, Vincent Trench Private Eye by Paul Metzger and Kathleen Harrington, $4.99 for 17 pages. So it's designed to aid the dungeon masters in creating and running mystery-themed adventures in the course of Waterdeep, Dragon Heist, or any other campaign set in the Crown of the North. It says, we began in Troll School Alley, where Dragon Heist adventurers set up shop near Tiger's Eye Detective Agency. You'll learn the story of its proprietors. Why merely grant your adventurers investigative results for 50 gold when you can lead them through the investigation on their own? Young Katie Trench is presented as an investigative sidekick to assist, gaining new abilities alongside the adventurers as they progress to level 10. There's a framework to create your own mystery adventures. 15 mysterious locations follow, spanning all the wards of Waterdeep, providing flavorful settings for scenes in your adventure. Rounding things out are 3 new magic items utilized by the Trench family. Give them to your villains to assist their dastardly schemes or as rewards for your investigative player characters. And there's some bundles down here you should consider as well to grab with this book. And it looks cool. Like you can get this book plus one other book in 4 different bundles. So if you see any other of these books that you like, you can basically get both of them for the $4.99 price, which is the full price of the book. So you just pay the full price of the book and get a second book based on these Waterdeep faction adventures down here. So definitely check that out if you're going to purchase this one. So it talks about Vincent Trench here, Valantajar, and then Katie Trench, and then you can see this is a sidekick. So each level, Katie kind of levels with the characters and gets additional abilities, and there's quite a lot of those all the way up to 10th level here. And then you've got creating mysteries, tips on how to create the mysteries, mysterious locales, like the Dock Ward, etc., Serpentine Books and Folios, 3 Pearls Nightclub. Just lots of stuff in here, and you get to see the whole book here in the preview. So let's read one of these items here at the end. Here it says, costume headband. Upon placing this headband on your head, you change in appearance as though under the effects of a disguise self-spell. The nature of the illusion is determined at the time the headband is created. The illusion remains until the headband is removed. To discern that you are costumed in an illusion, a creature can use this action to inspect your appearance and must succeed on an investigation check. Costume headbands are commonly used in upscale theater productions in Waterdeep, although they are looked down upon by the elite producers such as Lightsinger Theater, who consider them a cheap affront to proper costuming. So I love that it ties into theater, and you get some, like, you know, people scoffing at it and stuff, but so you've got that local Waterdeep connection in theater, but then you've also got a fun thing. And I also like that it's that the disguise is like imbued into the item, so it's not like you can pick your disguise. It's just like it's already in there. So very cool. Let's read about one little place here. The Fiery Flagon. Imagine the dock's words, dingiest dive bar. Now fill it full of pirates dressed in finery and dining on haute seafood cuisine. Put it below a row of tiny shop fronts across from the House of Inspired Hands on Sea-Watch Street, and you have the Fiery Flagon Tavern. Its proprietor, 𝘏𝙤𝙤𝙦 𝙤𝙀𝙪 is an old retired pirate who manages to keep out both the riffraff and the nobility, the former by pricing, the latter by decor and decorum. The patrons are rough sailors with booty to spare. The meals are splendid, and so are the opportunities. 𝙤𝙀𝙪 serves as both fence and outfitter. Trade is rumored to be facilitated by a heavily guarded tunnel on the Flagon's sublevel, which leads to River Sagoth in Undermountain. 𝙤𝙀𝙪 is quietly known as Waterdeep's only reliable supplier of serviceable quantities of smoke powder. So I love the details in here. It's very well written, edited, and yeah, it looks like it could just add so much to your Waterdeep adventures and experience. And then, of course, there's little things that you can take away. And it's nice that for full price, you can get a second book by just exploring the bundles. So definitely should check it out under Waterdeep Mysteries in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got Way of the Zen Archer, a monk subclass of spiritual sight and impossible accuracy by Colby Whitaker. It says, find enlightenment and supernatural accuracy in battle with the Way of the Zen Archer monk. Become an absolute master of ranged weapons, guiding them to with your spirit and intuition alone. Deal devastatingly precise and graceful blows, and even learn to pierce through illusions and see the true nature of the world around you. So you get the subclass, then 8 new magic items, 2 stat blocks for NPCs with this subclass, 2 iconic NPCs to bring the competing Zen Archer factions to life, and then lore for the Huntington and 8-Step schools, the highly competitive keepers of the Zen archery tradition. So lots of ways to integrate this subclass into your world. I love when people do that with subclasses. A lot of times you just get the subclass, but lore is always helpful. So yeah, let's take a look inside. So this is the actual ability, and then you've got some new weapons down here. So, and you get to see the whole thing in the preview. So here are those factions with their NPCs to really help you. You got a challenge rating of 10 and 3 here, so good range of NPCs to interact with. And something called the Singing Bow and the Spiritual Missile. So when you choose this tradition at 3rd level, your special martial arts training allows you to extend your martial skills to a variety of ranged weapons, controlling them with the spirit and intuition rather than manual technique. You gain the following benefits. You gain proficiency with ranged weapons that lack heavy and special properties. The longbow is also a valid choice. These weapons are monk weapons for you. You ignore the loading property on ranged monk weapons. When you are using a ranged monk weapon, you can use your wisdom modifier in place of your dex modifier for attack and damage rolls. And you can use ranged monk weapons when you perform a flurry of blows. Additionally, when you use the attack action with a ranged monk weapon on your turn, you can make 1 additional attack as a bonus action. When you attack in either of these ways, you use your martial arts die for the damage roll. And that's just at level 3. And they've got Elusive Archer at level 6, which gives you 2 more abilities, and then 11 gives you 2 more, and 17 gives you 2 more. So quite a few things that you're getting. So it could be a lot of fun. If you like archery, you want to integrate it with monk, this could be a really fun way to do that. So check it out under Way of the Zen Archer in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Vampiric Flower, a blood-sucking plant and other things to torment your players by Francisco del Castanag Miguel. It's $4.50 suggested price, 11 pages, and it's got 4 stat blocks for new creatures, all of them with unique art and tips on how they function in combat. It's got a loot suggestion table and harvesting option for the plants, a magical whip made from the roots of the plant, as well as a cursed variant, and then there's also a spell and a new form of infection. So it's a grab bag of stuff, and I really enjoy the artwork, and it looks like Francisco did the art and the text, which I always appreciate. So you've got information on the Vampiric Flower as a creature, and then using it, and then bestiary information, magic items, spells, magical disease. So here you go into the flower itself and its history, and then using it as an obstacle, as a boss, or Saved up corpses. If there's an abundance of food, the vampiric flower and its bud can serve or save up the corpses of their victims to slowly feed off of, only draining them if threatened. Each corpse has an AC of 15 and 15 hit points. It's immune to poison and psychic damage. So almost like little zombies. And then you got loot, using the harvested parts. Jewelry. The jewelry of creatures killed by the flowers sometimes can last more than its previous owner. Each jewel is worth around 1d4 times 10 GP and may vary from rings, necklaces, and other such items. And then here's the flower itself. It's got a CR rating of 10 and it even has some regional effects. So it says a region containing a vampiric flower is warped by the plant's unnatural presence, including dead soil. No other plants are able to grow from the ground within the flower's roots. This includes plants that come from spell effects such as Druidcraft, Entangle, and Grasping Vine. Those plants wither and die on the next round after the spell is cast. Unnatural drought. All humidity within 1 mile of the flower is solely absorbed by it. This makes it so the air in the region feels dry. Rains are less likely. Water sources start to run lower than usual. The closer you get to the flower, the more noticeable these effects are. And that's just 2 of the 4 regional effects available. But yeah, it's a lot of things you can do. I mean, you can have it be an obstacle like hazard that you have to get through without, to get to your final destination. You can use it as a boss, or you can just have it be an enemy that they have to overcome as you go. But I just love the concept of this. Really, really cool. So check it out in the links below under Vampiric Flower and give it a click. Next, we're going to preview our discount for next week at 10 a.m. PST or actually MST on all of our Splinterverse channels on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're going to have a discount for The Curious Case of Dr. Lila Amato by Indy Pinno, and it's normally $1.95, so a discount's going to be great on that, right? Because it's already pretty cheap. It's 12 pages, and it says, in a small house near a small town, a wizard attempts to create a spell that could change the world, but who will help her out when things go wrong, and can they survive the dangers in her strange house? So it's a 2-hour adventure for 4 5th to 8th level characters. So you're going to get a screaming deal on this next week. So you want to make sure that you're following us on all those channels, because these discounts are exclusive to Splinterverse and they're for a limited time. So if you're subscribed here, you'll find out about it on Fridays. If you're following us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you'll find out on Monday. And some of these have a limited number, like the one that we talked about at the beginning of the video. It's only got 10 people get that discount. So you definitely want to make sure you're following, getting those opportunities. Take a break at work or whatever to see what the discount is for that week and see if it's something you want to grab and save lots of money, so you can buy double the number of books because you're saving so much on getting these good deals. So I'm excited. This is a fun book. It's The Curious Case of Dr. Lila Amato, coming to you on Monday, May 9th. So check it out. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, and click all those links to support all these wonderful creators we've talked about this week. We want to encourage them to keep creating and bringing wonderful titles for us to review every single week. And I hope you have a lot of fun at your table this week. And until next time, happy adventuring.